Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun HaMishna. Today we're learning Terumos, Perek Yud. I want to discuss mainly Mishnah Gimel over here. The Gemara, even though in the previous two Mishnahs we learned Tam Milsahi, right? If there's Tam Ki'ikr, if there's Tam of Truma in something, so it asers. Um, or it's Machmitz in Mishnah Beis it asers, even if there's no Tam. If Truma here is Reya, all it does is instill a smell of truma, right? You put a hot loaf of bread on a barrel of wine, so the barrel of wine will give a scent to the bread. And the bread is chulin, but the wine is truma, so it has the smell of truma. So we paskin, I think most people know, it's reichalav milsi. The reason being, the difference in tam and reyach is that tam, usually when you taste something in there, when your milk goes into meat, yesh tam or ain tam, the shishim or not shishim, it's whether you can taste. Meaning, if the milk is there shishim, it's batel, so there's no taste of the milk, so it's not considered significant. It's not there, right? All these things are considered whether. I don't think when something is there's tam yesh tam ki'ikr, it's like, I don't know if it's exactly the same thing as eating it, but maybe it's called nene, being financially benefiting from something, as opposed to even there is the tam, a taste of something. But when milk goes into meat, the milk is in the meat. Here, reya, smell, it's a gas. It's not a solid. It's not a liquid. It's not mamashos. It doesn't exist over there, so it's not significant. So even though the bread smells like wine, but reichalav milsa, it doesn't make a difference because smell is a spiritual thing. It's an external thing. And by external spiritual thing, it's not significant enough to be called I'm being nene from the truma. I'm being nene through the bread. The smell of the bread. The smell is something apart from the bread. I'm eating the bread. The smell, it happens to have a smell, but the smell is something external to the bread itself. I'm not being nene from truma. However, the Mishnah says that if you have barley bread, or Yossi says barley bread, even though not only does it have the smell, but also some of the moisture of the wine will get into the bread. Now, of course, it doesn't have tam, because it has tam. Everyone would agree. It doesn't have tam of the wine, but it has lakluchas. It has some. So here you have two things. You have tartila reyes, that you have the smell, plus you have the smell of the ayin shel truma, and you have moisture of the wine. But it doesn't taste like wine. It smells like wine and tastes like wine. So how does that help according to Rabbi Yossi? So the answer being is that it's not when you have moisture, you have tam. The reason tam is usher, it's not because you're eating the milk and the meat. It's because you're nene financially from the milk and the meat. So in order to be nene, it has to have mamash. It has to have a physical property. Liquids and solids are physical things. It has a liquid of the yain, of the truma inside. So therefore, right, it should be considered truma, the bread. However, if there wasn't reicha, something beneficial over here, it would be nosin tam lefkam. Doesn't do anything. Nosin tam doesn't do anything. Having lachluchas, moisture, either it doesn't make it any better, it might make it go worse. It might make the bread more soggy. So it's definitely not helping it. So you're not nena at all. But if you combine the two things, you have reya, you have the smell, and you have the lachluchas, you have the moisture over there. So once you have the moisture, it's chashuv, and therefore it's considered that you're benefiting from the yain shel truma, because in svara, Reicha, really, you are benefiting from the truma, but we have nothing to mechayiv you. Dini mamonis, you have to have mamashos, right? Hezek sheino nikar lav shmei hezek, right? If you're matami someone's truma, so you're not mazik him. Hezek sheino nikar, your paskin is not hezek because it's just a spiritual hezek. It's not physical. It's dini mamonis have to be decided with something physical. So therefore, as long as you have the lachluchas, you have the moisture inside. So therefore, we have something physical, and now it gives some significance to that reyach, which you are benefiting from, which is no down the shrach. It smells good, the wine. So therefore, you combine those two things, and therefore you have mamashos, and therefore, because then the idea of hana is a dine maminis din, so therefore you have to have mamashos. So therefore, if you have both of these things, it makes mamashos, and you are nene from the reyach through mamashos. That would be the explanation over here. I hope you enjoyed today's shir. See you in the afternoon in Shulchan Aruch Yomi.